let me just remind you where we were as a country and where we are still today on matters of corruption. Corruption is endemic in this country. The incidences of corruption, the allegations are persistent, they are consistent. A few years ago, my predecessors, John and Gladwell, I see her seated over there, spent a lot of time trying to talk to Kenyans about, the prevalence of corruption and how it was manifesting itself in this country. When I joined TI, we still spent quite a bit of time, trying to highlight the corruption that was taking place, the levels that were deepening, and the impact it was having on our nation. I'm happy today we don't have to do that anymore. I mean, everybody knows. And I think if you go to social media, if you listen to Kenyans, if you listen to our leaders, you will know that this is a problem that has come to be acknowledged. The problem is now, how do we deal with it? I don't know how we deal with it, but I want to remind you that it's our responsibility as Kenyans to deal with it. Our constitution recognizes us as the sovereign, the Kenyan people. Sovereignty belongs to the Kenyan people. And what that means is that it comes also with responsibility. And I think this gathering today is an opportunity for us to reconnect with that responsibility and the urgency of it. That as a citizenry, we cannot just sit and watch as processes happen in our name without questioning them, without contributing to them, and without stopping them when we have to stop them. So corruption has become endemic. We lose quite a significant amount of money in this country. The figures are very difficult to find because I know that this is a question I get asked. How much do we lose? And when I put this question to people who should know, the answers I get are quite varied. But it is generally agreed that we lose about a third of our development budget is lost to corruption. And this has been the case for over 10 years now. It's been consistently happening, but that figure has gone up in recent years. And when you combine corruption and waste, which is so rampant in our public space, then you recognize that we toil. We work very hard as Kenyans, but the resources that we generate through that toil are put to waste or stolen by a few of us. And I say this because, government has no money of its own. Government's money is your money. So when a former permanent secretary said that government never gets broke, he basically was saying, you keep the money for government. So when we need more, we will raid your pocket more, like has been done in this last 1 month. Government has no money of its own. When the minister for the CS for Treasury comes and proposes a budget of 2+ trillion or 3 trillion or whatever amount of money is proposing, just sit for a moment and imagine he's looking into your pocket. Because there's no other place where that money is going to come from. And even if we decide to borrow, that borrowing, we will still have to pay. So that's an important point to consider. Government has no money of its own except that which you have. And so if you feel the economic pinch now, then it is time for us to remind ourselves that we've not done a lot, we've not done much in protecting our pockets from being raided by the government. And we've allowed that to go on without much of a conversation about what we need to do to develop this country, to move it forward, and how we are going to finance our development expenditure. But let me just get back to some statistics on the question of debt and why it is an issue, even though I know in official circles there has been a consistent attempt to downplay this issue. But looking at it from an objective point of view, there is reason actually to be concerned about the level of debt that this country has accumulated. Yesterday was Moi Day. when Moi left office in 2002, he left us with a debt of about 19,000 for each Kenyan alive then. 19,000 shillings, 2002. When President Kibaki left office in 2013, we owed each Kenyan 43,900 shillings. As we speak, Jubilee came into office in 2013. Right now, we are talking of a debt per person of 100,000 plus. So this money has been borrowed in the last 6 years. How did we get here? I think the journey is long. We came from having, loans that were quite, friendly in terms of payment to what I would call commercial loans. We went to the market, basically, meaning that we pay higher interest rates. And because there are not many questions being asked about, accountability, corruption, and such, the market has so far given us money. You would recall that at some point we were very preoccupied with the question of going east or looking east, and it became almost like a mantra. And I think we can see where we are at the moment with the question of debt. So, this